Hey everyone, good evening and welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Alyssa Ashe and I'm so glad to be with you guys tonight. So sorry about the other stream. We had some technical issues, but we just got them fixed. And the Peter Strzok hearing is still going on, but we believe it's wrapping up. So we wanted to get this recap stream going after a very long day. It has been a crazy day in Congress. Some have compared it to a circus. It's been very partisan, with a lot of the Democratic representatives praising Strzok and the Republican representatives just beating him down. It has been absolutely crazy. So I'm going to tell you some of their comments, some highlights from the hearing today. I'll be reading your comments here in the chat. I see that some of you have already joined us. And of course, please make sure if you have any questions or comments you really want to make sure that I read out, please message me on Twitter at Alyssa RSBN. And I will show you my Twitter lower third right here as well so that you can see that. And before I forget, I actually got some feedback from before the very first recess of the hearing today from our cameraman Micah. So I want to read that to you today. And he did say this before the Democrats were all praising Peter Strzok. Oh wow, and it looks like we just got a $14.99 donation from Stephen John Asante. Thank you so much for that. Your donations are what keep us on the air, and I will be telling you guys how to donate soon. And we also got a $50 donation on that first stream that went up, so thank you so much for that. And I'm going to read you guys Micah's analysis of the first round first. He said, throughout the investigation by the House Judiciary Committee, specifically the panel today with Peter Strzok, the Democratic Party took an interesting strategy. Although most of the Democratic Party would not be associated with high morals, that is exactly the stance they took. Their demeanor, attitude, even tone of voice all displayed one thing: we believe in the justice system and the American way. While the Republicans took the opposite, the focus on a corrupt and poor investigation by the Justice Department, specifically the FBI. It is interesting to note, though, although Republicans more than likely have the evidence to pursue certain judicial ramifications, they will more than likely lose to the Democrats' strategy of high transparency and trust in our justice system. Although I would have to state that our system is corrupt and does need work, the Democrats seem to have won this round of political play. So thank you so much for that, Micah. And if any of you else have an analysis that you want to share, please do. Vita Hoffman said, LOL, are they still drilling him? LOL. Yes, they are. They have been all day. And thank you so much, JC, one of our great moderators, for just leading everyone to the different streams, and he put my Twitter handle right there so that you guys will be able to message me on Twitter. And I'm going to tell you guys some of the highlights. If you were watching that first stream I started that messed up, sorry, you're gonna kind of hear the beginning again. So it opened with Representative Trey Gowdy from South Carolina, who is the chairman of Oversight and Government Reform. And he said that this was the most unusual and largely self-serving definition of bias. He also provided a definition of bias, which is when you are making up your mind ahead of time based on anything other than the facts. And he started off, he just hit the ground running, talking about these texts that Peter Strzok exchanged with his mistress, former FBI lawyer Lisa Page. And he said, he texted her that President Trump should be elected president 100 million to 0. And he said this even before he interviewed him And, promising to stop someone before he's even investigated is definitely bias. And he also sent a really harsh text that said he could smell the Trump supporters at a Walmart in West Virginia. And so this was definitely not a good way to represent the American people. And many representatives reminded him, and I'll get to the exact quote later, but that although, all Americans have different political opinions, they do not all hold the responsibility, the great responsibility that Peter Strzok holds as an FBI agent. And so when Special Counsel Robert Mueller found out about these texts, he kicked Strzok off of the investigation. And then, like I said before, it's just insane, but Strzok promised to stop Donald Trump from becoming president before the investigation even began. And then a good quote that Representative Gowdy said is that a fair and bias-free investigation is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It is an American issue, or at least it should be. And then we heard from Mr. Cummings, who is a Democratic ranking member, and he said that under Trump, the special counsel has obtained 5 guilty pleas and indicted 18 others. And so that was definitely, hard to hear, just seeing all of the corruption in the FBI so far. And I see you, Tina Pope, saying Trey Gowdy is awesome. He definitely is. And yes, that's true. Acorn sucks. Mueller did not kick him off until the comments became public. That is definitely true. Even though he knew, and it was interesting, Peter Strzok was questioned, did Robert Mueller know about these texts? Did he ask you about these texts? And he didn't ask him about the text because he didn't want to know the answer, because he honestly probably did know the answer. And anyway, so moving on, Peter Strzok's opening statement. As you all know, he is currently the Deputy Assistant Director of the Human Resources Division of the FBI. And he said that he had significant regret as his texts have caused pain to those he loves. And his opinions were expressed in deep patriotism, that his criticism was blunt, and he admitted that, but not limited to one party, that his personal opinions never interfered with his investigations, and that he was proud of his work on the Clinton email investigation and the Russia investigation, and he believed that this hearing today was just another victory notch in Putin's belt to tear America apart. And then Chairman Gowdy fired back, and he said, you drafted the originated document, you approved the originated document, and you were the point of contact. And then he read another one of Strzok's texts. Trump is a disaster. I have no idea how destabilizing your presidency would be. And he actually said this 10 days before he even began to investigate, and certain questions he was not able to answer today because the FBI limited him. And Chairman Gowdy found his first interview on August 11th, 2016, but then on August 6th, before even interviewing anyone, Strzok said F Trump in a text, and his colleague Lisa Page said back, maybe you're meant to protect the country from that menace. And Strzok said, I can protect the country at many levels. And then on August 8th, still before the first interview of the investigation, 3 days before, Lisa Page asked Peter Strzok if Trump would become president, and Strzok said, no, we'll stop it. And now this phrase, no, we'll stop it, has just been torn apart by those that were questioning Strzok today. Trey Gowdy kept asking him, what is the it? What is the it that you guys were trying to stop? And Strzok did admit that it would be Trump's campaign and Trump's presidency. And he also said, I don't recall writing that text. And then another text, he said, OMG, this is effing terrifying. And he said this was just his personal belief in what he saw. But let it be noted that he was not just using his personal cell phone to have these conversations. He was using his official phone as well, which is funded by American taxpayers and then belongs to the American public. So that is public information. And then because of this, they looked into his private phone as well. And just got a $2 donation from Manning Luck, who says, Alyssa, you are doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Manning. Really appreciate it from all of us here at RSBN. And so then kind of backing up, getting into just the text and, you know, what it meant, what was perceived. Strzok said that he was kicked off because of the perception of the text, not the existence of the text, which is very interesting because it's definitely, you know, the existence of the text and just that they had these biased statements in it as well, even though all day long he refuted that it was bias, but it was his political opinion, but it definitely was biased just because of the position that he was in as a public figure. And it looks like we just got a $19.99 donation from one of my favorites in the chat room, Jesus is Lord 5454, who says, real news. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. And also, let's see, moving on. And then we heard again from Mr. Cummings, who is the Democratic representative for Maryland, one of them. And talking about the FBI, he said, we have the utmost respect for the organization. And then he asked Peter Strzok, can you understand the questions of thoughts in your text? And Strzok said yes. And then he said, when the FBI walks in the door, they leave their political opinions behind. There is no room for personal belief. It is something there is no room for, and that doesn't occur. But the facts must be completely and independently pursued wherever they are. And then previously, Republican members asked Strzok repeatedly in a closed-door 11-hour interview about human sources during the Russia investigation, and he couldn't answer because the DOJ has a policy against revealing confidential human sources. But then actually a Republican representative who was part of that interrupted and said, I never asked you who the source was. I just asked you if you had asked actual human sources during this Russia investigation. And let's see, checking over in the chat, just to make sure you guys don't have any questions, or if you have comments as well, your opinions are totally welcome, and I would love to share them with you as long as they are appropriate. I see Martin Marbles in there saying, hey Martin, you are definitely a regular in our chat room. Let's see. And El Chapataraba, I want to say that right, says, the problem is that if he left his bias from work, he wouldn't say that he was going to stop Trump. That's definitely true. And Martin Marble says, woo, a nice break from the circus. I'm out of popcorn anyway. You guys are funny. So anyways, kind of moving on to what the different representatives said. So a few times Jared Nadler spoke. He is a Democratic representative from New York. He asked about the FBI's policy of agents commenting publicly about candidates during an investigation. And he asked Peter Strzok, is this okay? And Peter Strzok said, we do not do that. But the Inspector General report was highly critical of Comey for doing that. And then he also said that talking about investigations is against policy and can taint those investigations. And then he asked Strzok if this was unprecedented territory that he was going into, talking about the Russia investigations, because it was a hostile foreign power meddling in a U.S. election. And he asked Strzok if this was something that he had done before, if he had ever worked on a case where a hostile foreign power was meddling in a U.S. election. And Strzok said no, that this was unprecedented territory, and this was his first time doing that. And I have lots more for you guys, but before I get there, I'm just going to take a quick minute and tell you how to donate to RSBN and how you can keep us on the air. We are 100% donor founded, and so we are thankful for each and every one of you that donates to RSBN. You make us able to do what we do, and without you, this is simply not possible. You know, we are a small media company out of Auburn, Alabama. We're not CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC, nothing like that. We are just real people telling you the news. And so the first way that I always say that two of you have already done today, you can actually donate right here in the YouTube chat by just clicking the $sign in the super chat, and then it'll come up in a bright color, and you can comment whatever you want, about what you want your donation to go towards, which is of course RSBN, and just comment a message to us and I will share it with the whole world. Also, you can donate on our website, and as always, I will pull that up and show you guys if you have not done that before. Let me just get that screen capture up. So here is our beautiful website. So I went to the home page, and I'll back up and show you. This is the home page. You can see the video that we are watching right now. And right here above this red, you can't see it, this white bar, there's a red bar, and the fourth tab over says donate. So you click on that, it goes to the donate page, and then you can donate right here where it says if you would like to donate with PayPal or a credit card. And I will show you guys where that goes, and you enter the amount. You can say if you want to make it monthly, add special instructions if you have any, and then your debit card or credit card information, your address, and your phone number and your email. And you can also donate on patreon.com. If you want to be a monthly donator, there's a link right here, and also if you want to get to it separately, it is Patreon with an E, Patreon, where you can actually become a patron and make monthly donations, and you can receive fun stuff like hats, pencils, stickers, t-shirts, just different things that you can think of us throughout the day. And of course, remember to watch our daily streams, and there are different levels as well on this side. I'm not going to read them all to you, but you can see some of them: entry level, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, double diamond, all access. And the last way, if you are not comfortable donating online, we completely understand and respect that. You can mail a check in to our home address. You just write that check out to RSBN, and then the address is 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344 in Auburn, Alabama 36830. And it is so much fun for us just going through all of your donations, seeing the heartfelt handwritten letters. Many of you write. We even have one fantastic donor who always sends us books he writes, and I just got my first one, so I am so excited to read it. There's a picture of him on the back in a kilt. I think he plays the bagpipes. I'm sorry, your name has escaped me right now. Don Stewart?
And also the hearing's over.
Oh, okay. Awesome. The hearing is over, so now it really is a post-show. And also, I was talking about John Stewart, who donated. And we just got a $50 donation from Rick Moore. Thank you so much, Rick. We really appreciate that. And he said, great job. Thanks for streaming the whole hearing. And I believe that you were the one, not 100%, but I think you were the one that also donated $50 on my previous stream that we did. So thank you so much for that. The quick stream that had some technical difficulties, so then we had to throw it over here. But thank you so much for your donation. We are not able to do it without you guys. And I know that I say that a million times, but you guys are the heartbeat of what we do. We do this for you and not ourselves. And so we are just so thankful to see when you receive it well and you're able to help us stay on the air. So now I'm going to move back over and show you guys, well, I do have more facts for you, but we're going to take a quick break and I'm going to show you one of the videos from the heated moments from today. You just pull that up. So someone that spoke a lot today was Committee Chair Republican Bob Goodlatte, and you can kind of see him going back and forth with some of the different senators. It kind of, representatives, excuse me, it kind of became a battle between Republican and Democratic congressmen and women. So it was a little crazy. So I'm going to show that to you guys and pull up the audio. Let me know if you're not hearing it. But I'm just going to show you guys a couple minutes of this video from Real Clear Politics.
Military secret. We were to ask him, how does the H-bomb work? He could not answer that question. This is the same thing.
Stated, that is a classification issue, not an issue of whether or not this is a valid question for which...
I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Not a point of order.
He's ruled that it's not a point of order.
That is not a ruling. Mr. Strzok?
Mr. Chairman, I insist on my point of order, and I insist on
Mr. Strzok,
appealing the ruling of the chair.
Mr. Strzok, knowing the advice that
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order. I believe there's a point of order that's been raised, and you've ruled. We have a right now to answer Mr. Nadler's.
It is not a valid point of order. The chair has already
pressed on that question because you don't
question on that ruling.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Strzok.
Mr. Chairman, I appeal the ruling of the chair that you have just made on that on whether the
you have not stated a valid point of
and
order.
That is your ruling, and I appeal it.
That is not an appealable
point of order. Yes, it is, Mr. Chairman. Appealing the ruling of the chair is exactly what he's requesting. He's appealing it. That requires a vote to either sustain it or overrule it.
The gentleman from New York has not cited a rule of the House that is being violated. Therefore, it is not a point of order.
That's your ruling.
That ruling of the chair.
Mr. Chairman, is it not appropriate to also interject the attorney-client privilege, which cannot be overridden and is a rule of the House to the extent that witnesses have the right to an attorney-client privilege in this House. And that is what this witness is asserting, attorney-client privilege, and he has been advised not to answer the question.
The gentleman will suspend. The gentleman has not raised the attorney-client privilege. He has said that he's been instructed by the FBI not to answer the question. Now,
by lawyers.
He knows the advice I have just given him. If he would like, I'll restate it. But knowing this, will you answer the committee's question as directed, or do you refuse to answer the committee's question?
Point of parliamentary inquiry,
the ruling of the chair, that
point of parliamentary
order was
inquiry
not in order.
No rule.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman from South Carolina has the time. A parliamentary inquiry is not in order during the gentleman's time. The chair is instructing the witness to answer the question, and the question to you is,
Mr. Chairman,
will you answer the committee's question as directed, or do you refuse to answer the committee's question?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second, you're not recognized for that purpose.
He has to be recognized. He has to be recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I think you have no choice but to recognize such a motion.
I do not have.
Mr. Galley's home.
Are you just going to make up rules as we go along?
The motion is not in order during the time controlled by the gentleman from South Carolina.
I appeal that ruling of the chair.
Mr. Strzok, will you
Chairman, I
answer?
appeal your ruling of the chair that my motion to adjourn is not in order.
The gentleman is not in order.
That may be, but I appeal your ruling.
The gentleman is not recognized.
Take back over your time and smile away.
Knowing this, will you answer the committee's question as directed, or do you refuse to answer the committee's question?
Mr. Chairman, as you know, counsel for the FBI has directed me not to answer questions about the ongoing investigation. As you also know, counsel for the FBI is sitting here behind me. May I consult with them?
Wow, so let me just turn this mic around. You can kind of see how it was just such a circus today. Many of you are saying kangaroo court, and I really wonder what it would be like if these Republican and Democratic representatives spoke to each other respectively and calmly. You know, they were all kind of interrupting each other, saying they weren't going to recognize other individuals, and then someone was asking the chairman if he was just going to kind of make up rules as he went along. Also, I wanted to shout out, we just received a $10 donation from Roger Vega. Thank you so much for that, Roger. We love having you as a regular here in the chat room. And he said, it's time for the rank and file FBI to come out and support the president, not just say they're appalled or outraged. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate your donation. We are not able to do this without you. And I also have 2 more videos to show you guys, but first I'm going to spread them out throughout the broadcast to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to keep telling you some of the highlights and the things that the different representatives said today. So we also had, and I apologize, this isn't every single person that spoke because there was a lot, but I tried to get the best information that I could as I was watching it basically all day long and pulling information out. Also, we just got a $19.99 donation from Kelsey Cook, who said, "Go Tigers." Thank you so much, Kelsey. We really appreciate you and always having you here in the chat room. So earlier, Democratic representative from California, Zoe Lofgren, said that we need to put our partisanship at the door. And like many other Democratic representatives, she said, this hearing serves no good purpose for our country and should be brought to an end. And then we also had Republican representative of Tennessee, John Duncan, speaking. And he just absolutely praised the opening statements from Chairman Gowdy and Chairman Goodlatte, saying that it was the best opening statements he has actually heard in 30 years. And then Peter Strzok was actually asked, and it was a very embarrassing moment, to read his text out loud. And he did. And he said, "I can't believe what happened to our country," Lise, talking to Lisa Page. And he also said, "These texts represent personal beliefs, but not any acts that we need to do or not do something." And then, I'm sorry, I don't have her name, but a congresswoman from DC discussed the confusion between his personal phone and his official phone, and saying his official phone belongs to the public. And I said this before, and she kind of just kept reiterating it, and she said, "Do you understand that the texts that you sent out on your official phone, on your personal phone and your official phone about government matters, and just are not okay," that he was using his official phone to send up to, let me see, I have the number down here. I want to say the right number to you guys, if I can find it. I think it was something like 50,000 or 500,000. Let me see. I know I put it in here. Okay, here it is. So this was actually mentioned by Republican Representative Mark Walter of North Carolina, 50,000 texts total, which was over 100 texts a day, he said, while you're supposed to be doing your job. So that was definitely a hard stab at Strzok, who just kept saying that it was all work-based, but it definitely wasn't, especially if some of them were personal and were very critical of our current president. And so also by a congressman, Strzok was asked if both him and Lisa Page wanted Hillary to win and detested President Trump, and Strzok admitted that yes, he did. And then again, it was compared how he visited Southern Virginia Walmart and could smell the Trump supporters. This was compared to how Hillary Clinton called Trump supporters deplorables. But loyal Trump supporters don't have too much of a hard time with this. They just, even President Trump just says it as a joke, and all over at the rallies, I've seen people have shirts on like adorable, deplorable, and different things like that. So they've kind of just turned it into a joke, and so they're not too hurt by her statement. And then the congressman said to Strzok, "Don't the American people deserve a lot better than what your texts say?" And then another text was mentioned. Strzok said, "I loathe Congress," to Lisa Page, and she agreed. But then when this was brought up to him, he says that he has the utmost respect for Congress. And then we had, let's see, you okay? Yeah. Joe is getting all of the equipment ready for our next rally, which will hopefully be at the end of next week, but we will keep you guys updated on that. Let's see, Paul Short said, "Yeah, I would send the question, but apparently you got to pay to get it read out, so I think that's quite unfair." No, you don't. You don't have to pay at all for me to read out your question. So if you have one, Paul, please send it. I would totally love to answer that to the best that I can. You can send it here, or you can send it to me on Twitter, which is a great way to interact. And I will throw my handle up right here for you guys so that you can see it. It is at Alyssa RSBN. And then someone said, when do these FBI agents have any time to get casework done if they are sending 100 plus texts a day? Well, they're obviously not getting casework done if they are just texting all day. And then someone said, how can anyone text that many texts? And I see that Micah is in the chat. Hey, Micah. Actually, I did share your comments on the original stream, but we had some technical difficulties with that. So since you're here, I will share it again. And we have a new sponsor, Roger Vega. Thank you so much for becoming a sponsor. We really appreciate you. And now Micah, he's one of our fantastic cameramen, and he did send me this analysis and his thoughts about the first round of the hearing. And now this was before all of the Democrats were praising Peter Strzok. So I am going to read this to you guys. He said, Micah, our cameraman, who is extremely smart, by the way, throughout the investigation by the House Judiciary Committee, specifically the panel today with Peter Strzok, the Democratic Party took an interesting strategy. Although most of the Democratic Party would not be associated with high morals, that is exactly the stance they took. Their demeanor, attitude, even tone of voice all displayed one thing: we believe in the justice system and the American way. While the Republicans took the opposite, the focus on a corrupt and poor investigation by the Justice Department, specifically the FBI. It is interesting to note, though, although Republicans more than likely have the evidence to pursue certain judicial ramifications, they will more than likely lose to the Democrats' strategy of high transparency and trust in our justice system. Although I would have to state that our system is corrupt and does need work, the Democrats seem to have won this round of political play. So thank you so much, Micah, for your feedback, which he was ready early this morning, just sent that to me right away. It was like, what, 9, 10 o'clock? Thank you so much for that. And we just got a $9.99 donation from Last Cigarette, who says, thank you for the stream. Thank you so much, Last Cigarette. It has been so good seeing you in the chat room, and you've been donating basically every day this week. I think there has not, a day has not gone by that you have not donated. So thank you so much. And $4.99 from Devo. Thank you so much, who says that he will give more later on. Thank you so much for that. And David Singleton asked where Steve went or what he's doing now. He actually started his own channel on YouTube called Agenda Free TV. So if you want to, you can check it out. And he posts streams pretty regularly, a good amount. And yes, the British Patriot says check out his goodbye stream on RSBN. If you go down a while, you can see that. That was definitely a good broadcast as well. Okay, so I read you Micah's thoughts, and I'm going to keep telling you what some of the representatives said today, and then I will show you those other 2 videos that have gone viral as well. And someone just said a similar question to one that was asked earlier. How do these FBI agents have time to get any casework done if they're texting 100 plus texts a day? American people are paying for a worthless agency getting nothing redeeming done for the country. Thank you so much, Darren. That is true, that if they are sending that many texts a day that are probably not related to work, because if they are related to work, you'd think that they might be emailing, right? That they're probably not getting enough done. Okay, so we also had a Democratic representative of New York Hakeem Jeffries, who said Strzok is not the greatest threat. President Trump, meanwhile, is meeting with Kim Jong-un. And a lot of the Democratic representatives kind of, I think, wasted time just saying about how this hearing was so ridiculous and so stupid and worthless, and why are we even doing it when we should be focusing on all of these bigger issues, which in a way that is true, but even just by taking the time to say how worthless it was and whatnot, it was a very important, crucial hearing, and just by taking the time to, say all this, they were not focused on the hearing right now, today. So anyways, then we had, of course, Chairman Gowdy. Again, he asked Peter Strzok, how many indictments have there been from collusions? And then he kind of corrected himself and he said, or conspiracy with Russia from America. And Strzok said, none. And then Gowdy mentioned how Peter Strzok did not engage in any impeachment discussion with Secretary Hillary Clinton, but he saved it all for President Trump in all of his texts, even though Strzok then said that he looked at the case with an open mind, which was really interesting because it didn't seem like he looked at it with an open mind. It seemed like he looked at it with a closed mind. I mean, he knew what he believed. He was very anti-Trump and just didn't want anything to do with the new president, and was even determined in collaboration with Lisa Page to just stop him from becoming president even before he began his investigation, which was really interesting and kind of heartbreaking, honestly, as well. And then, but before I forget, I will tell you guys, it was really interesting just seeing the different viewpoints today in the hearing. It was very partisan, the way the Republicans responded, the way the Democrats responded, and there was even some inappropriateness. I can't remember who exactly it was, but one Democratic representative actually said at one point that Peter Strzok deserved a Purple Heart Award, which was just highly inappropriate and uncalled for, especially about the grounds on which today were based. And then after Strzok gave his testimony, many Democratic representatives actually clapped for him, which was very interesting. And then we also had, let's see, yes, a good comment from Darren Walker. He says that was a well-scripted speech Strzok made at the end of Gowdy's question, scripted to make his enemies appear non-existent and to clean the American people's views of any deep state of the FBI. Yes, Darren, thank you for that. And also we had the Democratic representative, one of them, of New Jersey, Bonnie Watson Coleman, speak. And she was honestly very disrespectful to the president. She just kind of took this as an opportunity to attack President Trump and directed towards Strzok. She said, you have nothing to do with either candidate getting elected. And then after her attacks, she gave Strzok 2 minutes and 25 seconds left of her time to talk. And he said during this time, he said, I cannot express my love for the FBI enough. This entire exercise comes at a cost. We destroy things we may not see for years. And so that was interesting. And then he just kind of talked for a while before getting cut off. And I am going to take a moment before I read you guys the more information next. The next few quotes from Republican Representative Doug Collins of Georgia. I will pull up one of those other videos. But first, thank you so much. Got a $19.99 donation from Roger Roll. Thank you so much for that. And he said, have you sent an email? Have sent you an email. Please get back to me. Thank you. I will check that right now. And one Marion talking about Bonnie Watson Coleman says, does she know she insults the patriots who voted for Trump as well? She was probably not thinking about them in that moment, honestly. Let me see. I want to check your email. Check my email real quick, Roger, to answer your question. Had it open and it kicked me out. Sorry about that.
You might can check the feedback on it. Maybe you sent the feedback on it.
He might have. Let me check that. Roger, did you send it to my email or the feedback? Because I'm not seeing it yet. See. Okay, Roger, unfortunately, I am not seeing your email right now, so if you wouldn't mind resending it, you can send it to feedback@RSBN TV, or you can send it to me personally to alyssa.ashe@RSBN TV, and then I will read it and respond. And if it's something that I need to take a little more time on, I can read later and type out a response to you tonight. But let me go and I'm going to show you guys one of those other videos that has gone viral today. Something that Chairman Gowdy said to Peter Strzok.
Your testimony is Bob Mueller did not kick you off because of the content of your text. He kicked you off because of some appearance that he was worried about. My testimony, what you asked and what I responded to, was that he kicked me off because of my bias. I'm stating to you it is not my understanding that he kicked me off because of any bias, that it was done based on the appearance. If you want to represent what you said accurately, I'm happy to answer that question, but I don't appreciate what was originally said being changed. I don't give a damn what you appreciate, Agent Strzok. I don't appreciate having an FBI agent with an unprecedented level of animus working on 2 major investigations during 2016.
Hopefully you guys were able to hear that. Just Chairman Gowdy speaking his mind. And while I have the videos pulled up, I am going to show you another one where Representative Gohmert accuses Strzok of lying, and this is found on Fox News' website. So I'm going to show this video to you guys. It has gone viral today as well.
you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, you know, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases, and we all have them. And you have come in here and said, I have no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched in the private testimony you gave, and I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying, and he could probably pass the polygraph. It's amazing.
Mr. Chairman.
No, this is my
Mr.
time.
Chairman, I'm sorry, point of order. This point of order.
No.
The gentleman will state his point of order.
A member of this committee just asserted that this witness was under oath and a former agent of the FBI lied. There is no evidence of that. I ask you to withdraw it.
I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero...
There is not a single person on this committee who has ever characterized a witness
Gentleman from Rhode Island. Gentleman,
it's my time.
That's a disgrace.
Gentleman from Rhode Island will suspend.
No, the disgrace,
Mr.
what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of a witness
Shame
is
on
always an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please,
have you Mr. Chairman, this is intolerable harassment of the witness.
What's wrong with that? You need your medication.
Well, some of you guys were, sorry, one second. Some of you guys were asking, right here, British Patriot, where's the clip where Congressman called Strzok out for lying to his wife? Well, there it is. And then you can hear someone else at the end yelling at the congressman, you need your medication. So it was definitely a circus today on Capitol Hill. It was hot mess express, but isn't it always? And it was interesting. Earlier I was watching Fox News and they were talking about how it's just because there are cameras in there, it's so much more blown up and everyone kind of just acts crazier because the cameras are there, and how much better things would be if they weren't televised, but then we wouldn't get to share them with you guys. So personally, I'm very glad that they are. And since I haven't told you guys in a while, I'm going to do a quick little donation spiel and just tell you how you are able to donate to keep RSBN alive and on the air. We are not able to broadcast without your love and financial support, and we are very thankful for it. Every single penny counts. You guys have no idea, from just doing broadcasts like this to traveling to rallies across the country. They are very expensive, and I saw one of you ask when's the next rally, and that it's not released yet. We're thinking it's going to be at the end of next week, but we will keep you guys updated, of course, on our broadcast here and on our Twitter account at RSB Network. Anyways, back to donating. If you are willing and you are able, you can actually click the $sign right here in the super chat and donate to us through YouTube. We will get about 70% of that, and YouTube does keep the other 30%, but it is a really fun, easy way to donate. It'll show up in a bright color and you just write a fun message and I will share it with the world. And thank you so much to everyone who has donated tonight so far. And you can also donate on our website, and I'm not going to go through and show you guys that because I just did. You can donate directly through PayPal, or you can donate on patreon.com/RSBN, where you can actually become a monthly donator and receive fun things like cups, hats, t-shirts, pens, stickers, just all different things. And you will be able to just think think about us throughout the day and remember to watch us. And so we are so thankful for that. And also, we already have our fantastic moderators. Thank you so much, DM. Already putting it right here in the chat box. If you have mail, you can send it to Right Side Broadcasting Network. You just write RSBN, write the check out to RSBN, write it on the envelope. And then we are located at 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344 in Auburn, Alabama, 36830. So if you are more comfortable sending in a check, sometimes it's nice to see a little note. And we've had a lot of very heartwarming letters as well. We actually just got to go through them the other night, and they are very encouraging and make it possible for us to do what we do. So thank you so much for that. Doug M said, any guesses on where the next rally will be? I don't have any yet. I'm not sure, but it could be anywhere, honestly. But we will keep you updated, of course. And I have some more comments for you guys of what the different representatives said today during the hearing. So Republican Representative Doug Collins of Georgia asked Strzok when was the last time he had a polygraph, which, if you're not familiar, is a lie detecting test. And it was after the letter he received on January 16th, and then he had to get top secret clearance with the SCI compartments. And he said, I was not aware that an out-of-scope polygraph required a reading from SCI. And they kind of went back and forth on this. And now there is no nuclear annihilation without creation, commented and said, was he under oath? Yes, he was under oath today, and he says he's been under oath many times before. So we hope that he was telling the truth the whole time. He's definitely supposed to. Anyways, we also had Democratic Representative Mr. Cicilline from Rhode Island, who actually apologized to Strzok from the treatment he had received from his colleagues. And he said that his Republican colleagues are acting more like they're on the defense team for President Trump, and that the committee has failed to secure elections and instead is devoting hundreds of hours to Hillary Clinton's emails, which that case needs to be closed. And then we also had Republican Representative Ron DeSantis of Florida said that Rod Rosenstein had also testified before this committee and said that Strzok was biased, and then he kept asking him about the dossier, which Peter Strzok tended to avoid those questions or say that he wasn't allowed to talk about it because of the FBI. Jessica Flint said, is it over? If you are referring to the hearing, yes it is. It just finished about 30 minutes ago, I would say. And let's see. I'm going to try to pronounce this right. It's a hard name, but Democratic Representative Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois said that the DOJ Inspector General report says that Strzok explained his decision to get a search warrant for the Wiener laptop was known to many people beyond the mid-year term. And then he asked if any were in the New York field office, and Strzok said yes. And then Raja asked if there were concerns about their actions, and Strzok said no, his concerns were general because the more people that knew about something, the easier it could be leaked out, obviously. And then there was a back and forth dialogue with Republican Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio. He appeared many times, actually, and he kept asking Peter Strzok if he received documents from Bruce Orr, and then Strzok said that he hadn't personally, but the FBI had. And then also Republican Representative Mark Meadows of NC came into the picture, and he asked Strzok, he said, "You've never talked to anyone outside of the FBI about the Russia investigation?" And Strzok said, "I've talked to the U.S. intelligence community, but not the media." And then he asked him, Representative Meadows said, "Are you aware in your email dated January 10th, Senator Harry Reid knew about the dossier?" And then Strzok said that he was not sure. Then we also had Democratic Representative Cedric Richmond of Louisiana saying that this is a circus, we're not having hearings on real issues, we're not, talking about immigration and the 3,000 children separated at the border from their parents. And he said, "We won't have hearings on Russian collusions, can't get the administration to admit that there has been Russian interference and that it's distracting from real issues in our country." And like I said earlier, many of the Democratic senators said this, and it wasn't really constructive to this hearing. It only took time away, and he had no hard questions for Peter Strzok. And then we also had Republican Representative Dennis Ross of Florida. He was a little more stern with Strzok, and he said, "Anything on your official phone belongs to the public, and according to Principle 9, should not be used for anything other than official activities." And Peter Strzok said, "I believe it is protected speech, and that in the FBI code and regulations, expression of political belief is encouraged." And then he said, "I take responsibility for those texts. They have caused an immense amount of damage. I am deeply regretful for those texts." He said, "I had no idea this would be made public. If so, I would have never sent them." Also, we just received a $10 donation from Scottsdale, Arizona. Thank you so much, Scottsdale. We really appreciate you there. We are not able to do this without you, and it is so good to see you as a regular donor and a regular member of the RSBN family here in our chat room. Thank you for your support. And it looks like I got a couple messages on Twitter, so I'm going to check that out as well and then finish up the representative comments to you guys. Okay. It's from one of our moderators. Thank you so much, JC, for being such a fantastic moderator and a regular messenger. He said, "Alyssa, he is guilty as sin. I have two questions. Hanging or firing squad? I prefer both." JC, I would definitely say the firing squad. Personally, I do not believe in hanging people for their actions. So definitely the firing squad. On that, if you guys have any other questions, no matter what they are, as long as they are appropriate and about this, or maybe just something else, you might have a fun question, feel free to message me on Twitter at Alyssa RSBN. And also I'm going to share some other comments with you guys that the representatives said today during the hearing. Now this is kind of getting into the evening. Democratic Representative Ted Lieu of California kind of opened as many of the others did, and he said, "This hearing is stupid. We should be focused on immigration and the 3,000 children ripped away from their parents by the Trump administration." And he also asked Peter Strzok if he's expected to leave his beliefs at the door and carry out the law, which Strzok said he is expected to do that. And he also reiterated a quote from Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders when you're attacking the FBI, you're losing. And then moving on, we heard from Republican Representative Mark Walker again from North Carolina. And he said that the text, "We will stop it," that Peter Strzok said to Lisa Page was not just talk, but actually a call to action. And now Peter Strzok was talking about stopping Trump's presidency, and Strzok refuted this and said, no, it was just talk. And Representative Walker said, well, according to my elementary school English teacher, stop is an action word. And then he talked about how he said how Peter Strzok sent 50,000 texts from that official phone, over 100 a day, while he was supposed to be doing his job. And Peter Strzok said they were all work-related texts. I worked every day from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then Walker talked about how there was a credibility issue here. And Strzok said, I am here under oath. I am not lying under oath. I never have, and I never will. And then, again, Republican Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio asked Strzok about the dossier, and Strzok said, I have never personally received dossier information. And then we also heard from Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin, who said, my colleagues have created a conspiracy theory from your Pillow Talk texts. And then he asked if all the negative statements made by different officials, especially Republicans, were organized by Strzok, and if Strzok had a deep state conspiracy to criticize the president, and Strzok said no. Then we also heard from Republican Representative Matt Gaetz, who again talked about special counsel Robert Mueller and asked Strzok directly, did Robert Mueller ever ask if you were biased against Potus? And Strzok said no, this was not a question that FBI agents got asked when they're being hired. And then, Robert Mueller knew of the text messages, but never asked if Strzok was biased. And he just didn't ask about them later. He waited until they became public. And then we also had Democratic Representative Val Demings of Florida, who opens, like many other Democratic representatives, by thanking Strzok for his service in the FBI and the U.S. Army. And then she read out President Trump's tweet from December 3rd, 2017, that the FBI's reputation was the worst in history, but we will bring it back. And then she asked Peter Strzok if he did think the FBI's reputation was the worst in history, and of course he said no, it was not. And let's see, it looks like got a couple good comments down here. Rick Bulow said, this hearing today proves that the federal government is out of control, and the only way to rein it in is by a convention of states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the current Constitution. Thank you for that. Also, we heard from Republican Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana, who asked Strzok if the texts with Lisa Page were to stop President Trump, as he directly said they were. And then Strzok said no, he just wanted to get the investigation out of the presidential race. And then Representative Johnson asked Strzok if he ever found evidence of the conspiracy between President Trump and Russia, and he said no. And then he reminded Strzok that not every American has the extraordinary amount of responsibility you do over the American people, and that according to the Inspector General report, his conduct demonstrated extremely poor judgment. And we just got a donation from $4.99 from Debo. Thank you very much for that, Debo. And also, lastly, we not completely at the end because we started this before it completely ended. But one of the last ones I took note of, Republican Representative Steve Russell of Oklahoma reminded Strzok and asked him just to double check if he had stated that culture training and bias in the FBI prevent bias, and asked if his policies guided his actions. And Strzok said, for the bulk of my professional career, they definitely did. And then Representative Russell said, the extramarital relationship could put you outside of what is appropriate for an FBI agent. And this was with former FBI lawyer Lisa Page. And then he reminded him of the Bible verse from Luke, you shall know a tree by its fruits, from the overflow of the mouth the heart speaks. Which is kind of a perfect verse for today. And also, looks like I got another question on Twitter. Swoosh for Trump, thank you for your compliment. And then Rick Bulow said, I was in and out all day. Did the representatives say when they were going to bring Mrs. Page up for a hearing? They did not say, but I saw online that it was tomorrow and Monday. Did you see anything about that,
no,
Joe?
I did not. What I tried to do was just sort of leave it on all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just listening in the background. I didn't even hear most of it. It was like 8 hours long.
Yeah. So we're not sure, but that is something important that we would definitely be sharing you guys if we have access to it.
Moderator, she was watching all that.
Yes, RSBN moderator, if you are watching right now, let us know if Lisa Page is supposed to come in for a hearing tomorrow, and I'll search it real quick for you guys. So I will show you guys this article just so you can see where I'm getting this information. According to CNN Politics, who I know you don't like, I'm sorry, but embattled ex-FBI lawyer Lisa Page will meet with members of Congress behind closed doors on Friday and Monday. House Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte said in a statement, she initially defied a congressional subpoena on Wednesday, with her lawyer citing lack of info on the scope of the interview and inability to view materials produced to lawmakers before the interview. Republicans were considering holding her in contempt of Congress. And then Goodlatte said that she will appear before the House Judiciary and Oversight Committee for a transcribed interview on Friday at 1:30 p.m., which will continue on Monday. And her attorney, Amy Jeffries, has actually confirmed the meeting. Yes, and as you guys know, Page and FBI agent Peter Strzok have been ensnared in a Republican firestorm for months over text messages they exchanged disparaging Donald Trump while working on the Hillary Clinton email probe and Russia investigations. Her attorney said Wednesday there is no basis for claims that Lisa has anything to hide or is unwilling to testify. Page has since left the agency. Goodlatte, in a statement, called Page's decision to participate in the interview long overdue. And the statement said, as part of the committee's joint investigation into decisions made by the Justice Department in 2016, we have sought her testimony for 7 months, ultimately resulting in a subpoena demanding her presence. Lisa Page is a key witness in our investigation, and we need to hear from her about her role related to certain decisions made by the department and bureau. So like that said, we should see that tomorrow afternoon. And I see you, British Patriot, saying, where are the fake news emojis? So I want to check as well. I think I just lost my Twitter feed over here. Here we go. So if you guys have any further questions about the hearing today, or you were one of the loyal subscribers that watched all day long, please comment right here your thoughts. And like the moderator is saying right now, DM, you can send your comments and questions to me on Twitter at Alyssa RSBN. And let me see, some of you sometimes some of you mention me instead of DMing me, and I miss those. So let me check those real quick. Make sure that there aren't any today. Some great mentions from Donna Maria, one of our moderators, GM. Thank you so much for that. Hope you are doing well. And of course, my biggest supporter, my dad, who you guys all see in the chat room, Gregory Ashe. Thank you so much for your mentions. I hope you had a great day. And let me see, I am checking and seeing if I have any more information for you guys. Brian Rosenberger said, the biggest media circus in decades will continue for the foreseeable future. The Mueller said Peter is fake news. And then Swoosh for Trump said Lisa Page is going to jail. We will see about that tomorrow. Looks like she's already fired, so but since we are talking about her, try to get you guys some more information about her for those of you that are not familiar.
This is a Fox News alert. Former FBI lawyer Lisa Page is refusing.
Sorry about that. I still have the sound on from when I was sharing those videos with you guys. Let me shut that off. So this is according to a Fox News article, which I will show you guys to credit. So today, as you know, was Peter Strzok's televised testimony before two House committees regarding his anti-Trump text while he was investigating Russian interference in the 2016 presidential race. And the decision by the former FBI lawyer, Lisa Page, was to defy a subpoena to give a closed-door deposition to the same committees Wednesday, was actually getting far less attention than it deserved. Now, her action shows that the deliberate destruction of congressional subpoena power is complete and reveals the impotence of Congress to compel evidence. So as a result, the ability of Congress to perform substantive oversight is compromised. Only when she was threatened with contempt of Congress proceedings did Page agree to voluntarily appear for a private interview on Friday. And this is what Representative and Chairman Bob Goodlatte said. Now she, may still have to testify at a public hearing before Congress. And it says, but why does she or any other government witnesses get to dictate the terms and timings of their own testimony? How many of us who are not federal employees would dare refuse a subpoena from Congress? How many of us would even get away with it? And now this is by Jason Chaffetz, and he says, as I explained in my forthcoming book, The Deep State, Attorney General Jeff Sessions' inexplicable failure to prosecute subversions of congressional authority played no small role in my decision to resign from Congress and the House Oversight Committee last year. I knew what harm the Attorney General's wrong decision could cost Congress and the public. He said anyone could have seen this coming. The moment Jeff Sessions told me he had no intention of prosecuting Hillary IT aide Brian Pagliano regarding her email scandal, I knew the battle was lost. And I'm not going to read it all to you. It's very lengthy, but if you want to read the full article, it's right here. Jason Chaffetz, Strzok testifies, but ex-lover Lisa Page snubs Hill subpoena thanks to a bad call by Sessions. So, if you want to read the full article there, you can just look that up. And Grumpy J said, thanks, any idea what college she went to? If you were talking about me, I went to North Greenville University, and there's lots of information about that, and a bunch about my personal life as well. If you want to know, just back it up a while to the Q&A interviewing our newest anchor and reporter, Alyssa Ashe. Just go down a few videos. It's probably like the first time you can see my face on anything. So yeah, you can enjoy that. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It has been such a fun post show and a fun time interacting with you guys after a long day in Congress. And there actually might be another video tonight about President Trump's Europe trip and his time in the UK. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you soon.